Come in.
I don't see why I couldn't have used my car to get here.
You follow instructions.
I had to walk a mile from that bus line.
It's safer to travel by bus with what you're going to take back. If there should be an accident on the bus, or should you be stopped by anyone, get rid of it. It is not what it says on the label.
If it was, I could have got it at any corner drugstore.
You can go out this way.
Dr. Ordway, I'm Mrs. Travers. We bought the Wheeler home across the street.
Oh, yes.
We're having a house party, and one of our guests is taken ill. I couldn't reach our doctor. I wonder if you...
Yes, I'll go across with you and see what I can do.
That's awfully good of you. This is Dr. Ordway.
The crime doctor. Will you ask everyone to leave the room, please? Surely.
This is Mr. Foster's sister, Doctor.
How do you do?
How do you do? How long has your brother been unconscious?
Oh, not more than 5 minutes. My brother's a diabetic, Doctor.
Has he been drinking?
He hardly ever does, but he did have a few cocktails this evening. I'm afraid he's not taken his insulin shot.
Doesn't he carry his insulin with him?
Yes, always. It must be in his overcoat.
Will you have someone get it, Mrs. Travers, please?
Oh, certainly. Armand. You know Mr. Foster's overcoat. Would you please see if there's some medicine in it?
Yes, madam.
It'll be in a small case. I think he'll be all right as soon as he gets his insulin.
Oh, it's probably our fault for not serving dinner earlier. Walter usually takes his medicine just before meals, doesn't he, Claire?
Always. Oh, Harriet, I'm afraid we spoiled your party.
Oh, nonsense, Claire. Fault is all right. Nothing else matters.
This is my husband, Doctor.
How do you do, Mr. Travers?
How do you do?
Here it is, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks. I should have used the insulin. Sorry I messed up your party.
Oh, forget it.
Come and meet our friends, Doctor.
Thank you. You just lie there for a couple of minutes. You'll be all right. Would you put this back in Mr. Foster's overcoat, please?
Yes.
Alec, this is Dr. Ordway, Mr. Gerard.
How do you know, Mr. Gerard?
Very glad to meet you, Doctor.
We have Mr. Gerard to thank for having you as our neighbor.
Oh.
He found this house for us.
So you're in the real estate business?
Yes, I handle downtown properties, large office buildings, long-term ground leases, and so forth. But Clyde and Harriet asked me to find a house for them, and I heard about this one.
Oh.
I thought psychiatry was your field, Dr. Ordway.
This is Jack Swain, Doctor.
How do you do, Mr. Swain?
How do you do?
Yes, I am a psychiatrist, but of course I'm also a physician.
Well, maybe you have something in common with Jack, Doctor. You renovate rundown minds, and he renovates rundown bodies.
Harriet's telling you about my gymnasium. I operate the Swain Institute of Health.
Oh.
Hath given you one face.
Mr. Foster is dead. Will someone please call the police? Morning, Inspector.
How are you, Doctor? Call the medical examiner's office and ask Dr. Steiner to come up. I want you to hear what Steiner has to say firsthand.
Well, while we're waiting for him, you can tell me if Walter Foster died from natural causes.
No, you were right about that. He was poisoned. And so you are more or less responsible for his death.
Morning, Ordway.
Hello, Steiner.
How much has he told you?
Well, only that Foster was poisoned.
Yes, death was practically instantaneous once the poison reached the heart, which was a few moments after you injected it.
So you found poison in his insulin. Well, in that case, it could either be murder or suicide.
No, there's no possibility of suicide in this instance. Right, Steiner?
Right. There was no poison in Foster's kit, but there was poison in the injection you gave him.
Oh. You mean someone removed his bottle of insulin and replaced it with one containing poison. And then after I used it, switched the bottles back again, huh?
Exactly. The murderer made you the instrument of his crime.
Or to put it more plainly, somebody has made a fine sucker out of you. I hope you're not going to let them get away with it.
Oh, I get it. You want me to do your job for you, huh?
Oh, no, but under the circumstances, Inspector Burns thought you might like to help.
And living across the street from the scene of the crime, it makes it easier for me to investigate than you. All right. Well, have you done anything at all, or do I carry the ball on every play?
No, we have the servant, Armand Morel, under surveillance, and also some of the others.
Inspector Burns couldn't make an arrest at this time, unless he took you.
Tell me, is Armand a permanent employee of the Travers?
No, he was just hired for the party. Now, here's a list of everyone who was there, with their names, addresses, occupations, and whatever information we had time to gather.
Who's this Alan Tobin attorney? I don't remember meeting him.
No, he left early.
Is he the Travers attorney?
No, he's the administrator for the Foster estate.
And you haven't questioned him yet?
Well, there hasn't been time.
All right, if I get any ideas, I'll call you. So
All right, thanks, Doctor. Goodbye.
So long.
Oh, I'm Dr. Ordway. Miss Foster is expecting me.
Yes, sir. Would you come in, please?
No, I'll just be here a minute.
Excuse me, please.
Good morning, Dr. Ordway.
Good morning. I'm sorry to intrude on you today.
Don't feel you're intruding. I'm glad to have a chance to talk with you. Won't you sit down, please?
Thank you. I called particularly to ask you about something that your brother said before he passed away.
Well, I knew he said something, but I didn't hear quite what it was.
Yes, his voice was weak and a little incoherent. But I'm pretty sure he said, hath given you one face. Does that mean anything to you?
No, it
Well, it sounds like a quotation of some sort, but I don't know from what. Did you ever hear him quote those words before? Hath given you one face?
No, but they stir something in my memory. Pardon me. Alec,
I just stopped by to express my condolences, Claire, and to see if there's anything I can do.
That's awfully good of you, but Mr. Tobin is taking care of everything. You remember Dr. Ordway?
Yes, of course. How are you, Doctor?
I'm fine, thanks. Miss Foster and I were just talking about something her brother said at the last. It's an incomplete quotation. Hath given you one face. Do you know what that's from?
I believe it's from the Bible. Perhaps it's the text of a sermon that impressed Walter.
Do you recall the verse it's from?
No, I don't at the moment.
Oh, well, if either one of you think of it, will you let me know, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ordway.
Goodbye.
No. Remember the hole I showed you, Mr. Witherspoon?
Here.
That's right. Well, don't flap around like a confused chicken. Use those arms. That's better. That's right. Now, watch that, Witherspoon. Denny, get him a little higher. Watch those arms. No, that... Oh, Dr. Ordway.
Looks like I got here just in time.
Oh, don't worry about him, Doctor. A few smacks with a wet towel and he'll be as good as new.
What is he, a professional wrestler?
Certainly not. He's a client. I'm conditioning him.
Conditioning him for what? The morgue?
Huh? Oh, you know, you should take a course in judo yourself, Doctor. It'd be a pleasure for me to train you personally.
Well, that's mighty nice of you, but the idea doesn't happen to appeal to me.
Well, it might come in awfully handy someday. You must meet a lot of screwy characters in your line of work.
I don't think my patients are as crazy as yours.
Hmm?
Oh, is there someplace we can talk for a minute?
Oh, certainly, in my office.
Oh, that's a nice picture of Miss Foster.
Yes, and there's not another one like it in the whole world. Claire just had that one print made for me.
Mm-hmm. I came to you because of your relationship to Claire Foster. You know, I thought perhaps it might be best if you told her that her brother was murdered. The police are sometimes callous about those things.
Well, what do you know about that? So Walter was murdered, huh? Well, he had it coming to him.
What are you doing with your hands? Is that a nervous habit?
Oh, no, that's just exercise.
Oh.
You ought to try it yourself at odd times during the day when you're not doing anything else. It's good for you.
You were saying that Walter only got what he deserved.
Yeah.
You mind explaining that?
Well, there's really nothing to explain, Doctor. But if you nail the killer, would you mind doing me a favor?
What's that?
Give him my hearty congratulations.
No, thanks. What did Foster ever do to you?
He was blocking my marriage to Claire. We'd have been married a year ago if it had been up to Claire and me.
Well, did he object to you personally, or just the idea of his sister getting married?
That's it. As long as she was unmarried, he figured he had a chance to squeeze her out of a sizable chunk of money.
How did he persuade her to stay single?
Oh, he sold her on the idea that she was keeping him straight. That if she ever withdrew her support, he'd go to pieces.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose I should congratulate you on the removal of the obstacle to your marriage.
Thanks. And I'll tell Claire about her brother. Although I have a feeling it's going to spoil my evening.
Well, you'll be lucky if it doesn't spoil your romance.
What are you driving at?
Well, it's just a little peculiarity of human nature that if someone you love or someone near to you is murdered, you can't rest until the killer is brought to justice. Oh, I'm afraid Claire won't be thinking of marriage for quite a while.
I think you've got something there, Doctor.
And of course, she's going to realize that it must have been someone at the traveler's party who substituted poison for insulin. No, that's why she'll seem a little peculiar to you. And, of course, you do seem to be the one who benefits most by her brother's death.
All right, Doctor. You're going to get what you came for. I believe that either Clyde or Harriet Travers killed him.
Can you prove that?
Well, no, not exactly, but... Well, Harriet was interested in Walter, but he was bleeding her for money. Maybe she killed him because she couldn't give him any more without her husband getting wise. Or maybe he was wise and killed Walter himself.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Don't forget to tell Claire, will you?
Yes, all right, I'll tell her. Can you find your way out all right?
Oh, I think so. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hath given you one face, hath given you one face. No, I've never heard it before. I disagree with Mr. Gerard, however. I'm quite sure it's not from the Bible. Quite. I'm a great student of the book, Dr. Ordway.
Well, thanks very much, Mr. Tobin. By the way, I understand you're the Foster family lawyer.
Oh, yes, I've handled their affairs for many years. Their father was the late Charles Foster, you know.
Yes. Well, then I suppose Walter Foster was financially independent.
On the contrary, he was dependent on his sister, on other women, or anyone else, for that matter.
Well, didn't he get any of his father's money?
I'm the administrator of Charles Foster's estate. The children, Claire and Walter, under the terms of the will, were to have a monthly allowance until they reached the age of 21. Then Walter received his full half of the estate.
Well, what did he do with it?
He received $250,000 and in 3 years was destitute.
Am I keeping you by any chance?
Oh, no, I'm waiting. Excuse me. I begged him to leave the principal intact in my hands, but he thought he could do better with it than I could. And then when his money was gone, he wanted Claire to take her inheritance in cash so he could dissipate that.
Did she refuse?
Oh, she left her money with me and in consequence is enjoying an income of $1,000 a month. Well, I'm waiting. It's 3 minutes after 4. You're late.
Yes, I know. But a fuse blew out as I was burling the water. Mr. Tobin, you'd better buy some new fuses.
That fellow has the most ingenious excuses for being late with my tea. I just bought fuses. Really?
You said that Walter Foster was dependent on his sister.
But only for $100 or $200 now and again. Of course, he tried to wheedle more out of her. $5,000 for this, $10,000 for that. Always promising to double the money overnight.
But Claire didn't fall for it.
She knew her brother. Of course, she was fond of him in spite of his weakness.
But you weren't.
Is pretense necessary? Walter was a waster. He's better off dead.
And in spite of Walter's persuasions, Claire never touched any of her principal, even though it was available to her at any time?
Of course it was always available to her. As a matter of fact, once she did draw $10,000 in cash. She wanted it to invest in her sweetheart's business, a health institute. Seemed like a foolish investment, but it's turning out all right. Of course, I wouldn't ordinarily discuss Claire's affairs.
Why did you really hate Walter Foster? Did he embarrass you by wanting his money in cash?
Be careful, Dr. Ordway, or you'll find yourself defending a suit for slander.
Goodbye, Mr. Tobin.
Dr. Ordway, this is Claire Foster. Yes, I just found it a moment ago. Can you come over right away?
Yes, I'll be glad to. What about the quotation?
Well, we didn't find it at first because we looked under the wrong initial in the index.
Well, what is it?
God hath given you one face, and you make yourselves another. It's from Hamlet. That's right. Yes, I have an idea of what he meant, but it's too long a story to go into over the phone. Please come over right away.
All right, I'll be over right away. Goodbye.
Who's there?
Good afternoon, Dr. Ordway. Mr. Travers is not home. Do you wish to see the madam?
Yes, please.
I shall inform her that you're here. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Will you please wait?
Thank you.
Dr. Ordway's calling.
Hello. Make some cocktails, please, Alvin.
Yes, madam.
I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you.
Have you heard anything about Claire?
No, she seems to have disappeared, but the police are doing all they can.
It's so unlike her to go away without telling any of her friends.
Yes, that's what everyone says.
Shall you go in the sitting room?
Thank you.
Walter's death was a terrible shock. Doubly tragic to us since it happened in our home. Mr. Travers and I were both very fond of him.
Yes, I knew you were. But it rather surprises me to learn that Mr. Travers was also fond of him.
Frankly, Doctor, it rather surprised me, too. Oh, you'll join me in a cocktail, won't you?
Yes, I'd enjoy one very much.
Thank you.
I thought he was an extra servant.
We found him very efficient and decided to keep him.
Oh. You know, I was surprised to see that your house is up for sale.
Well, we didn't feel much like living here after what happened to Walter.
I can understand that. As it turned out, you practically bought the house for the murder.
Do you think I killed Walter?
Oh, now, don't let that worry you. I'm a long way from proving it.
Funny. My husband insinuated as much right after Walter died.
Before the police said it was murder?
Yes. Of course, he didn't really believe such a thing.
No?
No. He thought it would stop me from accusing him. Dr. Ordway, I'm frightened. I feel as if walls are closing in on me.
Are you afraid you'll be arrested and charged with Walter's murder?
I don't know. I don't know. I just have a premonition of danger. That's why I've told you things I wouldn't dare tell the police.
Hello, Harriet. Good afternoon, Dr. Ordway.
Good afternoon. Mrs. Travers and I were just discussing how the insulin could have been switched. Somebody's made me their cat's paw, and I rather resent it.
Oh, I wouldn't take that as a personal affront if I were you. Your being summoned here was one of those unpredictable accidents that frequently upset the best laid plans of a murderer. Isn't that so, dear?
Yes.
He or she expected Walter to administer his own lethal dose.
Say, tell me, Mr. Travers, do you recall noticing anyone come in or go out of this room during the party?
Well, we used this room as a men's cloakroom. There were lots of people in and out. I was in here once myself.
Yeah, well, as I recall it, the coats were on a long table that you'd placed near that window. So the exchange of insulin could have been managed from the outside.
That's right.
Oh, of course, it may not mean anything at all, except that it proves it was possible for someone who wasn't at your party to have murdered Walter.
But hardly likely. No one who wasn't very close to Walter would know where he kept his medicine.
And how could anyone who wasn't at the party know in which room the men's coats were kept?
Well, I think I'd better be going. Goodbye, Mrs. Travers.
Well, we'll see you to the door.
I'm Dr. Ordway. I'd like to see Mr. Gerard, if he's in, please.
Pardon me. Dr. Ordway is here to see you.
Oh, have him come right in.
Thank you.
Oh, hello, Dr. Ordway. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
I called your office just a few minutes ago to see if you'd heard any news of Claire.
No? No, not a thing.
What are the police doing?
All the routine things. There was nothing to indicate violence when I arrived at her home, so the police considered it a disappearance, at least for the time being.
But you don't.
Oh, I certainly don't believe she went away voluntarily, no.
Neither do I.
No, I talked to her not more than 15 minutes before I reached her home. She discovered the source of Walter Foster's last words, and she wanted to see me.
Oh, does the quotation have any bearing on Foster's death and Claire's disappearance?
No, I'm afraid not. It's just a line from Hamlet. I dropped in to see you because I'm rather curious about the for sale sign on the Travers home.
I was nothing less than amazed when Travers telephoned me and told me to put the house up for sale.
Yes, they told me they didn't feel like living there because Walter died in the house, but I can't exactly believe that.
They're selling the house because they're separating.
Oh, well, that decision must have been arrived at very recently.
That's right.
Were they getting along all right until Mrs. Travers became friendly with Walter?
And that would seem to give Travers a motive. But really, I think you can count them out. They're both too intelligent to commit a murder in their own home.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have a motive?
That's hard for me to say. They're all my friends.
Mm-hmm. Let's see now. As far as Swain is concerned, his motive doesn't seem to be strong enough.
Well, in measuring the strength of a motive, you have to consider the mind and emotions of the suspect. Me trying to give you a lesson in psychology.
Oh, that's all right. Tell me, were there any hard feelings between Foster and Tobin?
Now that you mention it, I always had the feeling that Tobin was afraid of Foster. It seemed that Foster had something on Tobin, or Tobin thought he had.
Mm-hmm. What about Armand?
He'd be merely a tool for somebody outside the house, someone who wasn't at the party. I like him best for the job.
Oh, you do? Why?
Because by suspecting him, I automatically remove my friends from suspicion. Besides, he had the best chance to get in and out of the cloakroom unobserved.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else I can tell you?
Oh, no. No, thank you very much.
Please let me know at once if you hear anything of Claire.
Yes, I will. Goodbye, Mr. Gerard.
Dr. Ordway is expecting me.
Yes, sir. Mr. Travers is here.
Good evening, Mr. Travers. Come in.
Good evening.
Sit down.
Thank you. Ever since you left our house, something has been running through my mind.
Yes?
I may as well tell you, first of all, that my wife and I have quarreled rather seriously over Walter Foster.
Yes, I've heard rumors to that effect.
When we were married, I gave my wife a substantial block of stocks for a present. Recently, I noticed they were missing from the safe deposit box. She admitted selling them to establish Foster in a business.
Was that your first quarrel over him?
Well, it was the first serious one. She became angry and announced she was going to leave me.
Did you try to dissuade her?
Oh, I told her she was making a fool of herself, that Foster had played that game with more than one woman.
Yeah, well, of course, she didn't believe that.
Not until I gave her the name of the woman he was running around with. At the party, she upbraided him and demanded to know what he had done with the money. He claimed to have lost it at the races and admitted being in love with the other woman.
You realize what you've just told me gives your wife a pretty strong motive for killing Walter? Is that what you intended?
Well, certainly not. I told you because it occurred to me that you might have been right about the insulin being switched by someone outside the house.
Who's this other woman?
Her name is Connie Day, I believe. She works for a mortician.
Do you know her address or the name of the man she works for?
No.
Well, I'll try and locate her. Thanks very much, Mr. Travers.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Does a Miss Connie Day work there? Oh, I'm sorry. I have the wrong number. Thank you. Does a Miss Connie Day work there, please? Oh, may I speak to her, please?
You wanted on a telephone.
Hello, Miss Day. This is Dr. Ordway.
Who? But I don't know you. Oh, no. It's impossible. We have an early morning funeral and I'm working tonight.
Well, then I'll drop out there and see you.
Oh, no. No, you mustn't do that. I'll be through about 9. I can see you shortly after that. you'd better come to my place. It's 2314 Albany Road, apartment 7.
Come in.
Where's the doctor?
Getting ready. He'll be right in.
Mr. Gans forgot I was working and locked me in. I've been nearly crazy.
He didn't forget you. None of us has forgot you. Foster was your boyfriend. You told him to blackmail the doctor, didn't you?
I didn't tell him anything. I don't know anything.
You're gonna get just what he got. But don't worry. He'll have a beautiful funeral with flowers and everything.
Yeah, she skipped without leaving so much as a handkerchief.
I waited around until after 11 last night, and she hadn't arrived home then.
You're certainly having bad luck with your phone calls. You talked to Claire Foster and she disappeared. Then you phoned this girl and frightened her away.
Maybe she wasn't frightened away. Hasn't it ever occurred to you that whoever is responsible for Claire's disappearance might also be responsible for Connie Day's?
You sure you didn't hear her moving out during the night?
I certainly did not, or I would have had a word with her. She was supposed to give me 30 days' notice before moving.
There's no one on duty in the lobby here at nights.
Oh, you see, we don't have a switchboard. Each apartment has its own phone.
I talked to her employer. He said she left there at 9 o'clock. They were both working late because of an early funeral this morning.
You know anything about any of her friends?
No, but there was one young man I know about. I think they called him Walter.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks.
You're welcome.
This is a place, Louis. I'm Mr. Casper. I phoned a while ago for an appointment.
Well, Dr. Ordway should be here in a few minutes. In the meantime, you can fill in your name, address, and phone number on this card.
My brother's the patient.
Well, then put down his name. There's a pen on that desk.
Don't put nothing down. They'll send me away.
Take it easy, Louis. Dr. Ordway won't send you away. There you are, miss.
Thank you.
I'm in now, Miss White.
I'm sending in a patient, Dr. Ordway.
Don't be scared. I wouldn't take you to a man who'd lock you up. Come on over. Let the doc help you.
Are you the patient?
Yeah, he wants you to help him. He's afraid he's going to be locked up.
I'd like to hear Louis answer my questions, if you don't mind.
Certainly, Doctor. You understand, Louis? I can't help you now. You got to work things out yourself.
Come on over and sit down, Louis.
Louis, I made a mistake. He's the man who wants to lock you up.
Louis!
You crazy fool! My brother shot him. I'll call the police.
We knew, of course, the name he used in your office would be assumed, but we made a nationwide search and check on it just the same. No results.
Well, what about the fellow that he brought with him?
He's been in and out of institutions all his life. There were no friends or relatives on his record, so we couldn't get a lead to Casper through identifying him.
Well, when new patients come in the office, Miss White always has them write their names and addresses on a filing card. I'm all right, thanks.
Yes, I know. She gave us Casper's card, but there were no fingerprints on it, except her own and yours.
Well, how could Casper handle the card without leaving a finger? Miss White, what about that girl that worked for the undertaker?
Connie Day.
Yeah.
She hasn't been heard of since she moved out of her apartment.
I don't think she moved out any more than Claire Foster did. Someone cleaned out her place to make you think she'd skipped.
Well, if you're suggesting that they've both been killed, then what's become of their bodies?
I don't know, but I'm convinced they're both dead. Whoever killed Walter Foster thought they knew too much. And the attempt on my life was...
It's all right. It's just a lamp. Don't bother.
Attempt on my life was made for the same reason, too. Miss White?
Yes, here she is.
Dr. Ordway?
Oh, yes. You recall exactly how Casper took the identification card when you gave it to him?
Just like anybody else.
Well, wait a minute. Here we are. Now, show me. Now, according to Miss White, he took it with his forefinger and his thumb.
Oh, well, then he had to leave a fingerprint on it, unless it was mishandled and smudged off in some way.
No. If it had been smudged, it had shown up in the laboratory. Here, now, you better sit down a while. There you are. Take it easy. Oop. All right. No, I tell you, the card was clean, except for Miss White's prints and your own.
And we're looking for a criminal who has deliberately had his fingerprints removed. God hath given you one face, and you'll make yourself another. Now, I know what was in Walter Foster's mind when he quoted that line from Hamlet.
Well, what are you driving at?
If a criminal is wanted badly enough to have his fingerprints removed, wouldn't he also like a bit of plastic surgery? A man's face becomes dangerous to him, so he gets himself another.
You know, I was just thinking about a letter that we received recently from Washington. They asked us to investigate reports that a plastic surgeon was operating on wanted criminals from all parts of the country.
Oh, I think that's Dr. Evans now. This is the day, Inspector.
Well, then I'd better get going.
No, you stick around, because if the news is bad, I'll want some moral support.
Dr. Evans is here.
Oh, hello, Doctor.
How do you feel, old man?
Oh, all right.
Well, if you'd rather be alone, I'm sure Inspector Burns will understand.
Oh, no, I want him to stay.
And we'll not keep you in suspense. In a glancing bullet wound of this kind that injures the optic nerve, we have no way of judging whether the nerve will right itself quickly or not at all. Miss White, will you draw the curtain, please?
We called to see Dr. Ordway.
Won't you come in, please?
Just a moment, please. I'll tell the nurse. Excuse me.
If Dr. Ordway is blind, do you think he'll give up his practice?
I should think he'd give up helping the police, if that's what you mean.
Oh, how do you do, Miss White?
How do you do?
How is Dr. Ordway? We've been terribly worried about him.
Well, the bandages were removed this afternoon. Dr. Ordway is blind.
Oh, God.
Isn't there any hope?
I'm afraid not for a long time. Perhaps an operation may be attempted later.
We'd better go, dear. He may not want callers today.
Oh, no, please don't leave. He heard the doorbell, and I think he'd feel hurt if you left without seeing him. When you do go in, try to be perfectly natural. Express your sympathy once if you wish, but after that, whatever you do, don't refer to his blindness.
No, of course not.
Mr. and Mrs. Travers have come to see you, Dr. Ordway.
Oh, come in. Come in. Mrs. Travers.
Hello, Inspector.
Hello,
Oh, please
Travers.
don't get up, Doctor. I'm terribly sorry.
Well, so am I. Let's not talk about it now. Come on, sit down. I'm awfully glad you dropped in. I'm especially glad that you came together.
Now, calling on you together really means something. The for sale sign is down again.
Do you mean the separation plans are off?
Well, we didn't find a buyer for the house right away, so we just had to live in it.
Harriet is kidding. We decided to forget the past and make a new start.
Oh, I'm awfully glad to hear that. I wish you the best of luck, too. A cigarette? Yes, please. Thank you.
Now you can draw on it.
I'm afraid we're tiring Dr. Ordway, Clyde.
Oh, no, don't.
Yes, we just stopped by to see how you were.
Yes.
Oh, well, do come back again soon, won't you?
Yes, we will. And if there's anything we can do, why, call us.
Thank you very
Goodbye,
much.
Doctor.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Bye, Mrs. Travers. I don't like this deception.
I know, but if it serves to catch a murderer, it's justified. And I don't think Travers and his wife will lose much time spreading the news.
The attempt to kill me at the office wasn't a sudden outbreak of violence by a paranoid.
No, his pretended brother had primed him to kill you, all right.
Yes, and the shooting followed very closely on the round of visits I paid the various people who were at the Travers party.
Somebody resented the interest you were taking in the Walter Foster case and hired Casper to put you out of the way.
Well, that somebody will think I'm just as harmless blind as dead.
Well, now that you've got the bandages off your eyes, why don't you come down to headquarters and look at pictures? Maybe we've got a record of Casper.
If Casper had his face remodeled when his fingerprints were removed. An old picture won't mean anything, but there's another means of identification he may have overlooked.
Turn the catch on the lock, will you, Dr. Ordway? Thanks. I had the files brought up. I thought you'd have more privacy here.
Oh, splendid. Let me have that card, will you?
Card?
Yeah, the card that Casper wrote on in my office.
There are no prints on it.
No, I know that. I want to check the handwriting.
I'll have the handwriting experted, but I'm sure you're right. The C's, E's, P's, and R's in both names are the same. There's no question but what Casper and Corsello are the same man.
Mm-hmm. He was released 2 years ago after serving 7 years for robbery.
Well, you got a good look at him in your office. Did he look like any of those old pictures?
No, and I don't think he's going to be easy to find.
Well, I'm not so sure of that. There may be a quick and easy way to get our hands on him through Armand, the butler.
Do you think he and Corsello were working together?
Well, somebody in the Travers house must have been. And I can't see any of Travers' friends getting mixed up with a man like Corsello.
Oh, I don't think that Armand's guilty. But if he should be involved, the minute you arrest him, Corsello's going to run.
I'll have to take that chance.
Look here. If you should be right, and Armand does give you a lead to Corsello, will you do me a favor? Don't arrest him right away, huh?
Don't arrest Armand, and now don't arrest Corsello. That's like asking the hound to let the fox go.
Well, I'm convinced there's someone more important, more dangerous than Corsello behind all this.
Well, maybe you're right. But as a police officer, if I get my hands on Corsello, I have no choice but to arrest him at once.
Well, I'm glad that little mishap of yours wasn't as serious as we thought.
Thanks, Cummings. You know, it occurred to Inspector Burns and me that there might be certain advantages in pretending to be blind for a while.
Naturally, your enemies would feel that you were just as harmless as if you had been killed.
Yes, but there's someone else who can identify the man who calls himself Casper. I mean my nurse, Florence White.
Oh, is that why you called up the agency?
Yes. I want you to follow Miss White and be ready to protect her every minute she's out of doors.
Well, you don't need a private detective for that. The police department would assign a man to her, and it wouldn't cost you a dime.
Yes, I know that, but a crook can usually spot a police detective a mile away. Besides, I've got another reason for wanting the agency to handle it. I don't want an arrest. If you see anyone following Miss White, find out who he is, where he lives.
Now I'm beginning to get the idea.
Yeah, wait, don't get the idea now or jump to the conclusion that Miss White is bait. I'm engaging you first of all to protect her.
Does she know about me?
No, I don't think it's occurred to her that she might be in danger, but I don't want to frighten her.
Well, I'll try not to let her see me.
Okay. Looks as though we were in for a night of this.
Well, he'll be along in a little while. He goes under the name of Marks, and he lives alone, so he's not up to cook dinner in his apartment.
Well, maybe he saw you following him and went out the back door.
There is no back door. The service entrance is on the side. I don't think he knows I'm tailing him anyway. He's coming out now. Well, there's no one around.
But I won't bother with the glasses.
How about your friend inside? Did you take him into your confidence?
Yes, I had to, but he's all right. His wife's a patient of mine.
You want me to go in with you, or shall I wait in the car?
No, you don't have to wait. Take a cab home, though, will you, and let me use your car?
All right, but take care of yourself.
Okay.
Good evening, Dr. Ordway.
Good evening. I appreciate your coming down to see me so late.
Oh, it's a pleasure. But tell me, what's this about wanting to be made up to look like someone else?
Can you make me look like that man?
Yes, I think so. You're up to something, Doctor, but you don't need to explain anything to me. Who is this man?
His name is Pete Hastings. The police want him for holding up a bank and killing a guard in Indiana.
You realize you'll become the target of every policeman.
Don't you worry about that.
Well, when you telephoned me, you said you wanted me to do you a favor. This I consider an injury. But have it your way.
Thank you.
Let me see. Oh, yes. We'll try this one for size.
Oh, fine.
Who is it?
Pete Hastings. I want to see Gypsy Carcello.
Come in. Shut the door. What do you want?
Lefty Langton told me to look you up.
When'd you see Lefty?
A few days before he come east.
Yeah?
Yeah. Lefty told me if I ever got in a jam to look you up. How's Lefty making out?
Lefty's dead.
Oh, that's tough. He was a great guy. How'd it happen?
A couple of fly cops were picking him. Lefty shot it out with him. Come in here. Pull on the shade. Sit down. What was it I read about you in the paper the other day?
Yeah. I believe my name was mentioned in connection with the Industrial Bank of Indianapolis.
Pour us a couple of drinks. I said a couple of drinks.
I never use it.
Yeah, that's right. Lefty told me he liked to work with you because you never touched liquor. Bank guard was killed in that job you pulled. That makes you plenty hot. Smoke?
No, I never use them.
Steady nerves, huh?
Yeah, and I'm trying to keep them that way, too.
Why didn't you send for me? Maybe somebody followed you here.
No, I don't know anybody in town. You don't have to worry. I was plenty careful.
Yeah. What do you want me to do for you?
I'm living on borrowed time, as long as I carry this kisser around with me and these. Lefty told me if I ever needed it done, you'd arrange things.
It isn't an easy job. It costs plenty.
Yeah, it's cheap at any price.
Got the money?
You ain't heard that the Industrial Bank got back any of that 50 grand, have you?
Got a car?
Yeah.
Remember this address. Don't write it down. Carl Gantz, 10518 Roma Road.
Carl Gantz, 10518 Roma Road. Right.
Yes?
My name is Hastings.
I've been expecting you.
So you see how it is.
I understand. You aren't the first to come here. Can you pay?
Didn't Costello tell you?
You brought the money with you?
Sure. How long will it take?
Perhaps a week.
That long?
We aren't butchers, Mr. Hastings. We do our job well, but we can't hurry nature's healing processes. Now, let me see.
Keep your hands to yourself.
An intensive manhunt ended tonight when police shot and killed Pete Hastings in Indianapolis. The killer bandit was machine-gunned when he elected to fight it out after being cornered in a local barber shop. For further...
You'll be quite comfortable. We have good facilities and all conveniences, for which, of course, you must be prepared to pay.
When can you start?
Early in the morning.
All right.
Pardon me a minute. Gans Mortuary. Mr. Gans speaking.
This is Costello. The guy I sent you get there?
Yes. Everything is being taken care of.
You've taken in a stool pigeon or a cop. I know I said it was Hastings, but I was wrong. I just heard on the radio that Hastings is dead.
Well, that's splendid, isn't it? I see. Oh, yes. Everything will be ready. I'm sorry for the interruption.
That's okay.
Lie down on the table.
I thought you said you'd do the job in the morning.
That's for the main job. But we can begin the preliminaries now. Every day counts for you, doesn't it?
I think I'll wait till morning.
I assure you it's unnecessary to wait.
I'll wait anyway.
I must insist that you leave everything to my judgment, Mr. Hastings. Come, lie down on the table. Roll up your sleeve. There will be absolutely no pain. This is just a harmless preparation.
Okay, if that's the way you want it. Give me Inspector Burns, please. All right, then. Captain Moore will do. Hello, Moore. This is Ordway talking. I'm out at the Gantz mortuary. Can you come out here right away? Got something interesting to show you. Bring a couple of men with you, too. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised that if we looked into some of your recent funerals, we might find Connie and probably Claire Foster occupying graves under some other names. There he is. That's probably your friend, Corsello.
I suppose you realize you might have been killed last night, and then I'd have been blamed for it.
It'd have been funny if I'd had to perform an autopsy on you.
You could at least have taken us into your confidence so we could cover you.
Tell me, have you made Gantz and Casper talk yet?
No, not yet. Dr. Steiner's been having a field day, or I should say night.
Gans's records indicate that he only had 3 funerals this week. One was okay. The burial orders on the other 2 didn't look good, so we exhumed the coffin and found the bodies of Claire Foster and Connie Day. I've just finished the autopsies.
They were both killed by an injection of the same poison that killed Walter Foster.
Incidentally, the hypo Gans was going to give you was filled with the same poison.
Oh, they're certainly poison-minded.
Well, murderers follow patterns like everybody else.
What are you doing for lunch, Steiner?
Well, I've got another autopsy and appearance before a coroner's jury, but I think I can make it.
Fine. I'd like to have a little chat with you about toxicology.
That'd be charming.
Come on. Oh, have you any objections to releasing Armand now?
Not at all. You can take him with you if you like.
All right, see you later.
Dr. Ordway, Mr. Tobin has arrived.
Oh, thank you. Oh, good evening, Mrs. Tobin. I want to thank you for accepting my invitation.
Invitation? It sounded more like a summons to me.
Well, I had a special reason for asking you, as you'll discover in a moment. Will you just make yourself at home, please?
Thank you.
May I have your attention? I want to thank you all for coming here tonight. A little unusual, but I had a special reason for asking you tonight. It's something of a celebration. I know each one of you is haunted by the belief that among your circle of friends there is a murderer. But tonight you can banish that thought. The case of Walter Foster is closed. Yes, the guilty men are in jail, and, well, you're all removed from suspicion. That's really what I wanted to tell you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Ordway.
Yes, Mrs. Travers?
I don't know how to thank you for what you've done.
Can anyone hear me?
No.
We haven't actually solved the case yet. There's someone else involved, someone more important than Casper and Gans, but don't breathe that now to a soul.
No, I won't.
I enjoyed our little private chat and drink. You're quite a character, Dr. Ordway. You know, for a while, I thought you suspected me.
Oh, I'd like to take you into my confidence, Mr. Tobin.
Yes?
I didn't tell those people the truth. That was just a little trick to lull someone to sleep. Actually, someone in this house is the killer. But I don't want him to suspect that I know it. That's in the strictest of confidence now. Understand? I only told you this because I know I can trust you.
Yes, of course. I won't even mention it to my wife.
Thank you. Oh.
Yes, I understand. It's a privilege to share your confidence, Doctor. I'll not violate it.
Thank you.
I've been trying to get a word with you all evening. How can you call this case closed? What about Claire? She wasn't involved with men like Corsello and Gans. Whoever's responsible for her murder is right here in this house, laughing at you.
I know. That's what I came up to tell you.
Huh?
Yes? Who is it, please?
It's Gerard, Dr. Ordway.
Oh, come in. Come in, Mr. Gerard. My boy found a pair of glasses in the living room. Were they yours by any chance?
I hope so. I mislaid mine somewhere this evening.
Oh, well, stay around for a while. It gives us an excuse to have a nightcap.
Good, I'll take you up on that.
Although I'm sorry you had to come all the way back for them. They're in here in the living room. I think they're on the little table there by the decanter.
Oh, yes, those are mine.
Pour us each a drink, will you?
I'll be delighted to.
Thank you. Don't make mine too heavy, will you?
I think you'll find this just right. Here we are, Doctor.
Oh, thank you. Well, here's to you, Gerard. Good health.
Here's to you, Ordway.
Thank you.
The crime doctor. The man who always solves his case. I have a little confession to make that I think will interest and surprise you.
What's that?
I killed Walter Foster, and I arranged to have Claire and Connie Day removed. Unfortunately, Ordway, you won't live long enough to make use of my confession.
What are you saying? I won't live long. What?
It wasn't enough that you were blinded, was it? No, you still have to poke and pry into everyone's private affairs. And even blind, you're a little too dangerous to have around. So I've given you a little dose of the medicine the others got.
You mean you poisoned my drink?
Yes. But you still have a few minutes to live. You see, I was a doctor once myself until I lost my license some years ago.
So it was you who performed the operation on Casper?
And some 100 others. It's a very profitable little business I had with Gantz and Casper to assist me. And you spoiled it.
I'd never known of your existence if you hadn't killed Walter Foster. Why'd you do that?
He tried to blackmail me. He got some information from Connie Day.
I see. So that's why you killed her?
Yes. Walter, Claire, Connie, and now you. As for my real estate business, it was just a blind.
Oh, yes. Well, I think I've played this little game with you long enough, Gerard. Oh, you're surprised, huh?
Better get ready, Inspector. He said his piece.
Well, hurry him back here so I can get that stuff out of him.
Well, I've got another surprise for you. I'm also immune to your poison, at least for a time. I've had my stomach lined with a heavy emulsion of chalk.
All right, Murphy, take care of him. Come on, hurry up, Ordway. Steiner's waiting for you.
Yes.
Hurry up, I'll take out that poison.
But leave me the drink.